Aloha, Live Yoga Tribe. I am Tara, the metabolic therapist, and I am taking over our channel today. If you joined us just about an hour and a half ago, we were live doing chair yoga. And now I love to tune in on Tuesdays and create a virtual forum for us to come together around all things gut health, digestive wellness, as well as emotional safety and support. Um, to believe that how we think and feel doesn't impact our choices of what we consume might be a place where we miss out on getting to know ourselves. So um, I love to bring all things holistic into how we best take care and give ourselves love and vibrant health. So without further ado, please, as you join in, write a question that you might have. We're doing this on YouTube so that we can create some privacy if people feel shy to talk shit. I don't. It's part of, it's the other side of eating. So I'm happy to talk about how what happens here ends up on the other side. So yeah, place your questions, your comments. Also, if you learned something, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends to come and join us, because at Live Yoga Channel, we are creating virtual ohana. I'm live here from Honolulu and wanting to reach out, and what we say here in Hawaii is talk story. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Leaky gut. Have you heard of it? It seems like the term gut health is all the rage these days because more and more of us, whether it's diagnosed or not, are running around with some sort of compromised immunity. And that tends to come from the guts. So maybe you remember this, sort of picture from your anatomy class growing up. We start when we first take a bite of food, we chew it up in our mouth and we get all sorts of enzymes to start to masticate and break down what we're taking in as fuel. And then the food travels down the esophagus where it gets burned up into the hot stomach. Our stomach is it's super acidic, and it's meant, over evolution, it's been designed to take out nasty bacterias and such that wouldn't be supportive of our best health. And so that gets eaten up in the stomach before it moves on to the duodenum and the small intestine, where more and more matter is taken in for food and dispersed to the body and the bloodstream. And then, more and more is kept, and it becomes chum, what we call chum at this time. And it goes down into the colon, also known as the large intestine, before we have a bowel movement. And it's here in the large intestine. Here's another picture that I love so much because it shows how long the small intestine is, and therefore like how much opportunity things can get stuck and dehydrated, especially if we're not drinking enough water and staying hydrated. So lots of areas for concern, buildup, and debris. But it's here down in the large intestine before we excrete that the final remnants of all the vitamins and nutrition that these amazing foods are. And I hear so many people say, I eat healthy, I eat healthy. Well, depending on the strength of our gut lining from top to bottom, that can have an impact of, no matter what we're eating, if it's not soothing our systems and it's causing more stress, then it may not be the best foods for us. So today, let's go ahead and talk about leaky gut, because leaky gut is, down here in the guts. Like, by the time what we eat makes it down into the small intestine and the large intestine, these are what we call our guts. The the design of these organs are to keep the bad things out and to take the good things from the food that we eat and disperse it to our bloodstream. And so there is what we call permeability. So in the lining of the colon, the small intestine, and the large intestine, so there's a mucus layer, and it's designed, like I said, to be strong and permeable. So it's designed to keep the bad stuff from leaking into our blood supply. And what happens over time if we have compromised immunity or leaky gut happens from overuse of antibiotics. That can really make our digestive lining vulnerable. And overuse of antibiotics, inorganic foods, how much of the pesticides and those nasty toxins that get sprayed all over in an industrial agriculture food system, what happens when we take in those chemicals? It also is poison to our insides too. So we can have a whole other story on that. However, I very much suggest the new film, the documentary on Netflix called Kiss the Ground, so that we can have a new perspective on ways that we can impact climate change and take best care of our inner soils and the Mother Earth. So check out that movie on Netflix, Kiss the Ground. Woody Harrelson is an amazing narrator in this movie. I just know you'll love it. So back to permeability. So, when we eat foods that are laden with chemicals, and even, organic has a lot of leeway. So it's wild foods are best and such. So, I say this because it's hard to keep all the toxins out of the food. So many of these chemicals and the antibiotics from the foods get passed on to our gentle, beautiful systems, and that can create vulnerability along the lining as well. And then let's talk about the silent killer, stress. How much stress are we living with? How are we coping with our stress, managing our stress? Because, life has stressors, yet the pace in which we live in modern day is so quick that proper stress management techniques have, gone out the window, especially with social media. I'm going to plug one more movie. I'm so happy with what Netflix is showing these days. They also, at the beginning of this month, they launched The Social Dilemma. And it talks about social media and how it is shifting deep centers of our brain center, and it's changing our behaviors. It's causing addiction, and it's really stressing people out. So definitely watch that one too. It's called The Social Dilemma on Netflix. And bringing it back to stress and how we deal with it. Stress when it chronic stress, can break down all of our systems. And oftentimes those that have compromised systems can lend to leaky gut. When I talk with people, some people are familiar with it. Some people, I've heard of that. Yet when I look around, I can see many of us are struggling with it, whether, like I said earlier, whether it's been diagnosed or not. So taking good care of our guts and our digestive system, I am 1,000% committed to, and happy to talk further with you. So stress can be one way that it flares up our leaky gut. I wouldn't say that stress causes leaky gut, yet once we've had that permeability, and I know that started for me when I was way young. I was taking lots of antibiotics. I had asthma, and I was taking that inhaler, that steroid inhaler. It's meant to be used once in a while, but I found myself using it a lot. So, a lot of the pharmaceuticals have impacts and side effects that can compromise our digestion. So I grew up with asthma, which led to like skin disorders and itchiness. So I can tell where stress can activate or flare up my immune response, my leaky gut. And so I've learned ways to take good care of myself so that when I do have flare-ups, I can soothe my system as well as my my stress response. It's really important. I help my clients with this kind of stuff too. So checking in. Please, there's a few of us here. Go ahead and send a note, ask a question. What might you be curious about studying? Talking with me about. I'm not a doctor yet. I've had plenty of my own illnesses that have led me down this path and passion around sharing health and wellness with others. I've been into coaching for well over 15 years. I started out teaching yoga, which led me to like my first, started out practicing yoga, which led me to teaching yoga. And then my first fast was suggested by a yoga teacher. And at the time I couldn't even wrap my head around it. And that was back in like 2005. And it was a big opening though. It was a big realization of how addicted this hand to mouth soothing stress relief mechanism is, and how much we have been domesticated around, how much do we really need to eat? Is it 3 square meals a day? Is it every 2 hours? If I'm trying to build muscles, there's so much conflicting science out there. So my love and passion for studying research and medicine, as well as practicing on myself. And then I am certainly a certified holistic coach. I help people identify what's really going on in their systems, because each of us have our own history and signals. So I'm here to help empower you, because we can give really good care to ourselves, and we can catch our flare-ups before they start. As they're starting, we can make adjustments to our day-to-day so that we can support our beautiful insides in taking in what we're choosing as consumption, taking it in as fuel, and then giving it to our bodies so that we are vibrant, energetic, stable in our moods, and hearty and healthy. All right, so as you join us, go ahead and leave a question. Let me know what you're interested in learning more about. Have you ever had symptoms of leaky gut? What does it feel like for you? Do you get bloated? Do you get really tired after you eat? What happens is, as leaky gut is flared, or as it happens, what then happens is the design of our guts, which, like I said earlier, is to keep the bad stuff out and the good stuff in. What happens when there's leaky gut is some of that bad stuff, which might be undigested food matter, leaks through the gut lining straight into our blood supply. Now, this design, like I said, is to be the best of the best. So that's designed for the best to get through. But then what happens when, like, tomato skins, undigested mushrooms leak through that gut lining out into our blood supply? What happens then is our immune system is activated. All sorts of cytokines come, and they attack because they see this food matter, food particles out into the bloodstream, and everything else takes a break. All of the other systems are put on the back seat because our immune system is called in for emergency support. And what this does is it increases inflammation. And, you might notice this after a big night out in the morning, when your face is super puffy, I could see it under my eyes. Our immune response is working extra overtime. And that can have, our systems are designed for once in a while, yet when that kind of stress is consistent, that can lead to chronic conditions. And it's complex, and there are ways to be gentle and nourishing so that we can soothe our gut linings and keep the good stuff in and the bad stuff out. One way to identify, what's going on with your guts is to go ahead and take a look. When you have a bowel movement, turn around and take a look in the toilet bowl and see. Do you see undigested food matter? Can you tell? Oh, there's some broccoli, there's some tomatoes, there's some, undigested mac nuts. There's ways that we can see things. And when we see undigested food in our feces, that means that it's not being broken down all the way, and that can be telling that we can do some things to improve our strength, our integrity to our digestive system. Okay, let's also talk about comfort foods. What are some of your favorite comfort foods? Is it pizza, pasta, croissants? What are things that you just love? Ice cream. What are things that you turn to? And I'd love to have an honest conversation around, are these choices to take in these comfort foods, is it coming from a place of empowerment and trusting that your body is wanting something and you're going to give it to yourself? Or is it coming from a place of craving, of stress, of emotional turmoil, and wanting to just check out? This is where sometimes the work I do with people, it's intimate. And food, there's a lot of psychology around food because, we have, comfort foods might be like what our grandmother fed us when we were younger, and it felt soothing, and we have, special recipes and such. However, how grandma made it back then, the food supply is not, it's been raped and pillaged. And so the wheat that we're getting to make for, grandma's favorite, turkey pot pie is not, the soil's been malnourished, the food isn't as bioavailable. Plus, when we've got, compromised digestion as well, it's just, we're setting up for more harm and stress in our bodies. So although that bowl of ice cream or that, lots of grains and glutens can be culprits, but people really love these, like, what seem to be satiating. However, what I hear over and over again from clients, it's like, get started and have a hard time stopping. So, are these foods, are they true comfort foods in that they're giving the body nourishment, or is it feeding bacteria? So let's talk about, bacteria. And when we have a craving for something, is it really like our body saying, "Hey, I'm needing some nourishment. I'm needing some strength because I've got a full day ahead. I'm a busy mom, or gonna go work out, and I need some strength." And is it a sensation that our body is communicating to us of what we're needing in terms of nourishment, or is it a nervous twitch? It's the afternoon and I need a pick me up. I need, for me, back in my raw vegan days, the afternoon was I needed some sort of a chocolate treat or some sort of a date treat. It was sugar, and it took me years to get off of that and to be really honest around, addictions from these chemicals, processed sugars, and even some of the natural sugars that I was eating more of than my body really needed. And so what was that really doing? Was my bacteria that was, wanting more sugary breakdowns, more glucose? Was I feeding my best self, or am I feeding into, what the bacteria, the bad bacteria is wanting? And I don't like saying bad bacteria, because here we are, these human aquariums, and each of us, we have this, this beautiful skin that encapsulates all these systems that are working tirelessly for our well-being. And it's feeling hot in here. As we tend to these systems underneath of our skin, we are comprised of bacteria, fungus, yeast, mold, enzymes, organs, cytokines, cells. There's just so much life happening within us. And it can be scary, if we go down the rabbit hole of parasites, and people want to kill all the parasites and get rid of everything. And yes, we can talk that, and we can also talk about how to harmonize all of the life forms within us, so that we are working with our best selves in mind. So it's coming to understand our human organism. And my yoga teacher reminds us of that each of us have our own internal aquarium, and it's up to us to tend to it in ways that are most supportive. So when I've been constantly cravings, I can tell like something might be out of whack. If sugars, or like I'm constantly, wanting something sweet, or I have to have something sweet after dinner. If this sounds like you, slow down and really take inventory of what you're choosing to consume, and what is actually adding to your well-being, or what might be adding to the other than your best self, right? I mean, I could say like, the bad bacteria, but what I want to, all this talk around microbiome, and there are probiotics, and then there are prebiotics. The prebiotics is the good food for the friendly flora within our guts. Now we have microbiomes on our skin, on our head, on our eyelashes. We are so full of various places where there's bacteria that wants to be in harmony. So we can call it, good bacteria and bad bacteria, but that can, demonize it in a way that we're going to go above that and take a look at how do we keep all the bacteria in harmony in and around our beautiful systems. All right, so comfort foods, really being honest around what we're consuming and if it's benefiting us or hurting us. And, good rule of thumb is the 80-10-10. Our body composition, our makeup and how strong and vibrant we are is 80% what we put in our mouth. What we consume is 80% responsible for how we feel and show up in the world. The other 20%, 10% is sleep. Sleep. And this is not waking up in the middle of the night and going straight to your iPhone or your mobile phone, deep, dark rest. And then the other 10% is lifestyle. So like we were talking earlier, stress management techniques. Please join us more here on Live Yoga channel. We're creating a virtual Ohana so that we can come together, because consistent practice works. And yoga is an ancient science that helps to the physical postures, the stretches and such, whether we're doing it on the mat or in the chair, which I'm so stoked to be sharing with y'all. When we do these physical practices, it's an ancient science for taming the mind and bringing the body into harmony. So we do the physical postures, and as they're done consistently, it's not like, oh, during COVID, I started a yoga practice and I just did it that summer. No, it's consistent practice. Can you do it 3 days a week? Do it 3 days a week for a month and see how everything changes. So we're giving this away on our Live Yoga channel. I'm also joining here to share my voice and share my passion so that those of you that listen in, tune in, become part of this Trust Your Gut Club. I'm here to talk about all things guts as well as emotions. Emotional safety and emotional understanding of ourselves is pinnacle to making best choices for ourselves. So I love to work with compassionate communication and improve our emotional intelligence. And as we do this, first and foremost, by building our vocabulary around feelings. I pause here because how many of us walk through, our day to day, and we ask people, we check in with people, how you doing? What's up? How you feeling? I'm good. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm good. Come on. Let's get more involved and engaged with the experience that we get to have with this life. We get to feel, and there's definitely more feelings than fine and good. I don't know if that's being 100% honest, and it's something I know that I grew up witnessing and saying a lot, yet I feel so much more in tune with myself when I do check in with myself and I'm honest, whether I'm communicating it to somebody else or simply to me. I'm feeling a little bit warm, and I'm feeling inspired as I learn and practice this new skill. I love talking with people. Going live on YouTube is a whole new skill that I'm learning. And each time I do it, I'm getting better and I'm feeling more confident and happy to connect because, like I said, we're building virtual tribe here. So when I pause to be honest with what I'm feeling, it connects me to what I value. And I refer to values as, they live also here in the belly, in the guts. And when we take the time to clarify what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and what we value, we understand ourselves more. We can increase our self-care. We can give ourselves more of what we want, first and foremost, and then we have confidence to stand in alignment when we know what we're feeling and wanting, and then we can be clear about asking our loved ones to help meet those needs for us. So fast forward into growing this virtual community, I'm envisioning, let me pause. I'm envisioning us being here together and having talk stories, bringing up live situations that may need empathy, some support, some listening, as well as unwinding of patterns that may be going on in your life. And as the metabolic therapist, I pride myself in utilizing this body's brilliant intelligence to repair itself, rejuvenate, and thrive, as well as the heart technologies to increase our compassion and understanding of ourselves. So I hope that you can see the correlation in those and the space that I'm efforting to create so that we can come together. The work that I do is intimate, honest, and vulnerable. So I'm going to keep putting myself out here, and I'll talk about things that have been real for me as an invite to share with you. And what I do know are, all good things take time. And I've learned that here in Hawaii, that it takes time. Not all things are fast. Pardon me, it's feeling warm in here. Messing with my hair a lot. All right. So 2 takeaways. What kind of symptoms do you have around leaky gut or compromised digestion? Let's be honest. Reach out to me here or touch in with me at aloha at themetabolictherapist.com is my email address. And as well, let's be honest about comfort foods and whether they're truly comforting or if they're feeding cravings. So we're building our emotional intelligence and our connection to ourself. And if that's all for now, I'm happy to stay on here a few more minutes. Again, if you liked any of this, please hit that like button, subscribe, share it with loved ones. More and more people are reaching out to share in their personal experiences because each of us are so unique. And I honor that. My stories may land for you, and I realize that you have your own set of circumstances and histories. So I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe, share with your friends, join us again. I'll be teaching on the mat a full classical Hatha yoga practice this Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Hawaii time, here on Live Yoga channel. So tune in, roll out your mat, practice with us. And it's consistent. Consistency matters. So join us there. Also, check out my website, themetabolictherapist.com. I'll put it here in the chat, and you can see the programs that I have. But also, you can set up your complimentary discovery call so that you and I can do a one-on-one and just talk about what's going on for you, what I have to offer, and see if we're a good fit. So, mahalo nui. I honor the choice that you made to be here with me today. We have choices in all our moments, so this means a lot. And thank you for holding space for me to practice and try something new as I get better and grow more confident in this medium. This is new for me. Lots of aloha. Take good care, Ohana, and come back again for the live yoga channel Thursday morning. Aloha.